changes throughout your father's time or your time in farming in the Sixtowns?
Very little.
Very little. So nothing much would have changed the methods and the crops that they would grow.
No, the methods, the change in the methods didn't come to the Second World War.
Right. Before that, it was all done with the horse.
All done with horse in the hand.
The horse in the hand. And what crops would have been grown?
Just corn and pretties.
Corn and pretties. What about vegetables and stuff like that, like turnips and?
Well, every bit you'd put a wee nick, either in the field or in a garden for themselves. Just natural gold.
And what type of fertiliser would they use?
Oh no, very little. Very little.
Sorry.
For fertilisers, there were very little used to most people. Maybe a 200 bag of pretty manure to the acre. And if a field was a bit foolish for growing a crop of corn, or maybe put a bag of sulphur to ammonia or something, not sulphur ammonia but superphosphate.
And what about the manure from the duffel?
Aye, that was the main thing we used.
Well, that would have been put in with the spuds.
Sometimes to be scattered on a field of grass or hay or something like that.
Right. Now, you see, from this time of the year onwards, what would the starting into January and that? What would the calendar be for the work around a farm at that time? What would people be doing at this time of the year?
Very little. Up to February, they would start to plough back.
And then
maybe cleaning shucks and making field drains and things like that. Oh, they're always busy, you know.
What about the thrashing corn in the barn and that sort of thing? You used to talk about
that to do too.
And boiling turnips and stuff for animals for stock. They'd always be kept going with something, wouldn't it?
Aye.
But when you would have somebody working for you for 6 months, like you would have to keep them going.
You would have to give them to get the money for it.
Aye.
Well, yeah, I suppose in fashion and field drains and things outside doors. But I'm busy now.
And what animals would have been kept all that time if they would have had? What animals would have been kept? Basically,
just cattle and very few sheep, except someone that had come and gone on the mountain for.
And pigs.
On the small farm, there were no sheep kept at all.
Right.
Pigs and
hens
and cattle.
And would have been. What about the hens that time? Would they have many hens? Would they just kept the eggs for themselves or would they sold them?
Oh no, they were selling them days too. Selling baskets of eggs. Something but even the small farmers around here would up to 100 hens or maybe more something.
All right. And who would they have sold the eggs to in the earlier times?
They used to go to the dripper sound of them on Wednesdays. There'd be men there that would have stands there and they bought eggs and butter.
And would there been when would the first grocery men have started to come around, like Crilly and people like that? Would Crilly have been the first place?
Well, they come around collecting eggs first, and then some of them started taking groceries with them then to sell.
Right. What stage was that? Before the Second World War? Or?
Oh, that was before the Second World War.
In the 30s, probably.
About as far back maybe as the 20s.
And before that, they
were collecting eggs in the 20s anyway, and vehicles around for them. But it might have been maybe the 30s, the early 30s before they started to sell groceries.
Well, they
Macaulay was the first one nearly around here that started selling groceries, and Johnny Crilly.
Right. Well, the geese would have been geese kept at that time. Sell.
Very little at that lived it. They were nearly done away with.
Well, in earlier times would have been much.
Oh, in earlier times way back, they would hatchet. I don't know, maybe from 12 to maybe 25 or 30.
Right.
And when the girls were about 6 weeks old, they would send them up to the mountain, to the open mountain.
To graze.
And they left them to graze.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, then in July, there'd come men around looking for them. They would buy them and gather them up in big batches and drive them to Belfast and put them on the boat there and take them flinging them for fattening up, for free selling again and fattening up for Christmas.
Right. And the Clearys up there on Coney, they were sort of into that, were they?
No, they weren't, not particularly. No.
I thought
They were shepherds. They were shepherds up there.
Right. Well, what do you call the man that used to bring them over from Tyrone?
Oh, I did with Jimmy, or James Pat.
James Patton. Would he have taken them from around?
James Patton.
Would he have bought them from around?
He would come around this. Well, he never come down this far by him, but James Mullen used to buy him around here.
James Mullen, right? That'd be someone Dan
Mullen's father.
Oh, Dan Mullen's father, right?
And James Patton used to go in many times when we were going to school there, or we'd go down, driving maybe a couple of hundred of them on the road in front of him.
Right.
Carrying another one under his arm that would give up on him.
Mm-hmm.
One out of some job.
Mm-hmm. Well, they used to put tar on their feet to protect their feet when they walk.
Protect their feet.
Well, the pigs now, they'd have been killed at the farm before they were sent away, wouldn't they?
That's right.
And who would have been the local butchers in those
early
days?
There were different people. There used to be a Martha Heath down the road there, about he would come up and kill around here. Mm-hmm. And maybe on a Tuesday he'd kill maybe a dozen or more pigs. Mm-hmm. 2 here and 3 there and so on. And that's the way they worked it.
Well, who would have, James Joe Murray would have been the...
He come a bit later.
Who would have been would there been anybody from the Sixtowns that worked at that other than James before his time?
Well, our Johnny Malloy up there used to work at it.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny Francis could have killed pigs and done them up.
Mm-hmm.
But he never went out except to do it for next year neighbour.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and then there'd be no cereal crops sold at all, grass seed or anything like that would they?
Well, there'd be very, very little.
Mm-hmm.
Very all used
for their own. And what would they use the oats for?
Well, they used them for crushing up. Sometimes they would they made meal, their own needs of meal, their first open meal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the surplus that they'd have, they would grind that up for the animals.
Mm-hmm. And where would the mills been here at that time?
The mills were milled down there at the Sixtowns.
Donnelly's?
No. Who is this had at that time? Oh.
Kelby's? No.
I forget now who had at the beginning.
Was that where it was, but?
Aye.
Right.
There's corn mill there.
Mm-hmm. There was one supposed to be at the Shill Hill at one time, wasn't there?
There was, but I never had tell much about it.
Right. So, what time they would start ploughing around February, did you say?
About February, if the weather was good, it started in February. Sometimes I've seen it not start till if the weather was bad, maybe nearly the 17th of March.
Mm-hmm. And then you would have used your neighbours, they would ploughed with 2 horses, would they?
Aye.
And
they only kept one horse themselves, but a neighbour and them just got together and just swapped.
Right. And what kind of ploughs would they have been with the?
Oh, they'll swing, they'll swing ploughs.
Swing plough, and what would the earlier ones have been like? Do you remember any of those?
That was the earliest. So
right.
Was the earliest going.
Mm-hmm.
Swing.
And there were the horses that there were light wee horses, weren't they?
Light horses.
What kind of wee horses?
Mm-hmm. Light and hardy and tough.
Well, then the thrashing had to be done then in the barn at night, wouldn't it?
Aye.
And
an odd person maybe had a thrasher that could drive 2 horses or a horse or 2 horses out in the garden. Like we could just keep it around this big arm. Around them. That there was another on the side. Or the thrasher on the side.
And could it be moved about that? Could it be moved about from place to place?
No, they're fixed.
Just if some people had them.
Aye.
And that'd be mostly done in the winter time, wouldn't it? In the long days.
Just a few of the bigger farmers for that.
The rest of the people just did a bit as they did at night.
Some later on, if you got a hand thresher.
Well, when did the first mechanical threshers come about? Do you remember?
No, I was at school at the time. I think Wally Smith was the first that had one around here. And I didn't go away as far back as the 20s.
Would they have been steam threshers with it?
No, they were just a forcing tractor.
Right, and there would have been somewhere on the lines of the ones that we'd remember. Would it be the same type of thrasher?
Aye.
Now, would they use much lime in those days? On the land?
Not very much, you see. Any that use in them days, they either burned the limestone on their own kilns, or they went to Desert Martin or Moneyconey and drew the burned lime home. It was already burned.
Right. Well, I used to hear you talking about them breaking in new land up there.
Aye.
What was the process for that there?
Well, they just done a bit of what they would call blind setting. You know the way that a ridge is set there.
Yes.
You dig up a floor and throw a half of the lovely stage and cover the top of the rig.
Yeah.
You have the 3 foot or 4 foot rig covered with just the blind sword like nothing on it.
Right.
And they'll let that lie for a year, and then they would dig it the next year then, which would be kind of the tap rotted away out. They would dig it and try and corn on it then after that.
Well, what about
that's the way it was done.
They used to draw up with the bar dogs. They used to draw up manure for
to the steep ground.
What was that? What was it used for? That type of it? Was it used to sort of improve the ground or to break ground in, or
putting in pretties?
Oh, put in pretties.
Aye.
And the pretties themselves would sort of help break the ground up, wouldn't it?
Aye. It was pretty that broke the ground up.
Yes. Oh, I thought it was some sort of a system where you were just breaking in the land on a soil, mixing it with to make the soil. Then the wildlife would have changed over the years too, with all that being gone now, one thing and another. And I'm sure you must have seen a lot of wildlife disappear from.
Well, there's in the later years,
there'd have been a lot of birds and things that would have lived off the cereals that were grown.
That's right.
Corn and stubble ground.
Once the people quit growing the corn and the stubbles went away, so no feed for the birds, and they died out or left.
Is there anything in particular that you can remember that you don't see anymore?
I suppose so. I'd better think a bit on that. I would say the general thing of them, they're not a quarter of what used to be. They're not 25% of what used to be of the same bird. And they got very scarce or disappeared altogether.
Seems to be more the scavenger bird that is. The scavenger birds seem to have survived the best.
Oh, aye, he survived.
They seem to have taken over nearly. Then the grouse were gone too.
Oh, aye.
Partly just the curlews, corn cricks, right down to the small birds. Then the lint.
The curlews disappeared from around here too.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know when I hear the curlew now, not in years.
Do you think it's because all the heather's gone?
I can't, no, I can't know what annoyed the curlew here. There must have been someone now that we can't get now that every way. We have been a lot of shore there yet.
Yes. Well, the grouse that would be overstocked in the mountains, would it maybe killed off the?
No, it was overstock of sheep. The sheep need, grouse need plenty of heather. And the people stock that had sheep. There's there's mountains that I used to, when I was walking on them, I'll be walking on heather to the knee, And now on that same ground, you wouldn't get as much heather as was covered that took you up your shoe. Well, they were not on to feed the grapes and they died off.
And the corn creek, it ended up the same near enough, didn't it? It was the early cutting, was it?
The early cutting finished on.
Right.
But for the Cordeloo, I can't understand what happened. Because he was out in open ground there, and he wasn't a feeder like that. He was more of a sucking bird than he had a long beak. He seemed to be more of a sucking bird than a pecking bird. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, the partridges, what would have happened?
The partridges. Well,
just shot out, probably.
Shot out. There were 2 ways they cleaned up. You could come on a pack of partridges. You could kill them off in about an hour with 3 or 4 rays. They'd only fly one field length or 2 away and light again, and you raise them, take another wing out. You clean a pack of them in about an hour.
I forgot there about lint. It was a crop that we.
Well, only at times, seasonal times, like.
When did the first lint be grown around the Sixtowns? When would the first lint have been grown around the Sixtowns?
I don't know, or can.
Before the war, would they?
Oh, years before the war.
And it died out shortly after the war, didn't it?
It died out after the war. After the First World War.
Oh, after the First World War?
And then I picked up in the Second World War that needed somewhat and encouraged it well for a year or two, and then the war was over, they just dropped it.
Well, would there be much of it going away in your father's time? Right here.
Well, I suppose it turned like when there was a demand for it, there'd be a fair amount of it grow. But then in the later years, in the war the Second World War years, there was a lot of it growing around here.
Well, a lot of work would have been done with a spade in the old times.
Oh, aye.
There would have been a lot of good men with a spade in those days.
Oh, that's man.
What about the one you were telling about, the wee man that went up to dig up at them spuds at Connolly's? Or was it? Remember the wee man that he was finished before his time, the man that set out for us?
Joe Bernard said he a big garden of Connolly's for the Bordolan and cabbage. He set it in 2 days. He thought he never worked harder in his life. And John Connolly, the owner, said, you done it 2 good days work, he said, but Joe Faggy danced on the deck of sunset, he says, after doing that in 1 day. And he was a wee small man, but there was no stopping him on the trade league. He could have done more than 2 men with it.
Well, there was some story about him. He was going to the chapel in Straw, was it?
That was another man.
Oh, that was another man. Oh, right. What was that?
Well,
that was the same place that happened, wasn't it? In Connolly.
The same place. It was the same man. He always had you, when you went to him, the first thing he told you in the morning, if you went to step pretty short, but now you were taken up by the last man that stepped there, stepped up through my rings, and could rest assured he was a rascal.
Yes.
And either he'd have nothing happened, like.
Yes.
He would have been telling, so they done this. Some of the clary breed there from the Francie Patlori. Maybe an uncle of Frank Clary's. And Kate from fella, he come till set, tell him one day. Oh, his co-star John showed him off in the morning. He says, now the last man that set so many rings on it. And the boy started down through the coat half and started down, and at that time, when the tea came out to him, he says, no, he went in for his tea. And he says to John, have you a razor, Joe? Aye. What, could I get it away? Aye, what do you want, Buffett? I want to shave, he says. Under the machine of straw. Oh, no, John says you can't do that. He says you must finish your day's work now. Oh, but he says, you said short time and that's so many rigs set. there the last day they was sitting there, and I have 2 women that's sitting now, and I'm rolling.
It's good. It's good.
He had to shut his mouth because I got a day's work done on it. It's trying to be too smart.
Blacksmiths. Where were the blacks? Who would have been the blacksmiths in the Sixtowns way back, even in your father's time, like far back as that?
Well, Ned Kelly says that father back. I remember, or I don't even remember, but I talked to him.
And would he have done a big run there?
Well, I suppose he done the most of the Sixtowns.
Probably a bit of rough jerk as well.
Some of the bands down here, some of them were blacksmiths too.
Right, yes, they used to have forged too. And
Joe Thomas worked about that.
Thomas, right. Now, when would the first cars have been come to the Sixtowns? Who would have been the first people to have a car?
The Paddies.
The Paddies. They had the pub at the time, right?
They brought one furniture in the taxi for a while.
Then when would that have been away before the First World War?
Oh, long years before.
Is that right?
I wouldn't be more than 7 or 8 years old at the time. I'd be about
20s.
The early 20s.
And then who else would have come in then with taxis after that?
Joe Dan came in with one. But it didn't last too long, really. Well, then the taxi was nearly done. The Nailies came in with one, a couple after that.
Right.
And they would do any taxiing. Then the Dipperstown men, there were 3 or 4 cars, taxi cars in Dipperstown, and they would come up and do any taxiing for the tea.
Well, then there would have been the odd lorry for hire around the Sixtowns that time too.
Very few lorries were very slow in catching on, like, were very small, and the horses were very. A good horse and cart would take as much as it takes. But then the much better ones later on, like, the lower geared and better would ring up and every.
Kelly had one, hadn't they?
Oh, I know, it was small one too. Like.
And Phillips's.
Yeah.
Phillips's would always kept one, wouldn't they?
Yeah, now we others were just about an old farm and never right to it.
Right.
Peter McAleer's have done a bowl he done a creamery run. He used to come down to do jobs around here. And he would come down and look to them towns and cut turf up with any nails at that time and addies and up around there.
Right.
He'd come over done him over in the evening after his work on the creamery, and he would get other turf from there down to Tona and delivered for 7 shillings.
So it was
shilling a mile.
It was cheap. What about the local shops?
Oh, photo. There was from Doyle's there till down to Tullybrick Bridge. There was Paddy's with one, where Doyle is there. Johnny Mully's had one below that. Joe Dan had one down next. And Outland Campbell had one where Jerry Kelly's living there now. And then there was one in Masterman Bridge.
Oh, it's like a town street.
Oh, very house I should go.
And there was supposed to be one at John Hamiesh's as well.
There was before that. I never remember it.
The
place was closed in our town.
And then I suppose further down in Cavalry, and that would have been maybe ones, would there been space of many maybe? There would have been
no,
more towards late, was there?
Not from, you went around to Midlade. And on down the road, there was none you would go down till, I think in days gone by, there used to be one at Peter Andy's there.
And then I suppose Conley's was it down it? Where Marianne Gordon's was there.
Eddie Conley had one.
You wonder how they survived?
Well, the ones down the road was west space, but the ones up here, I don't know, I worked a while man on it at all.
Well, would have been a gathering place for people too at the same time. It would have been a gathering place for people.
No, not so much. The very women would do that kind of shopping. Men might go and eat for tobacco out of an actually. I would doubt it a bit. You dance, Joe's a old man there himself. I tried the young people together on the Hammond Keeley there.
Well, what about the school? What would the school been like in your father's time?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it a rummy enough place at that time?
Wouldn't be so much stuff around.
Wouldn't have changed much, would it not?
No.
Well, would people have went much that time to school?
Well, I suppose not as much as later. It was compulsory then. I just couldn't say how much they're tender nowadays. But
what would the Thames been like in your time?
the Thames was fairly good because they had lots of kids at the time. Well, their parents wrote it.
Right. Now, another big thing talked about is the 47 snow. A big thing in the history of this area here too. How it affected people. Do you remember much about it?
Well, I remember the whole thing. I remember it all very well.
Was there much sign before it? Like, was there much sign that it was coming?
No. It just, well, you could tell there a day before a snowdrift was coming there. Or snow of any kind like. And I kind of knew that day that there was someone coming. And I left that even about 4 o'clock. It was well on the easy. It was the 19th of March, 19th of February. That was 2 months into the year. I went up to left here at 4 o'clock in the evening and went to the mountain and gathered the sheep down because I knew there was snow coming. And didn't imagine it was game, it didn't come. And it was freezing when I was going up. And the sparks of the water from the ground up, splashing up the walking stick I had in my hand. It was covered with front of my eyes throwing it up to my hand. And the dog with a fairly long haired wee bitch, and she was hunching and biting icicles off her body and hunching them. That
irritation.
Went on up to the top of the mountain, got the sheep turned down and going down them. And on the top of the rock there was 3 or 4 hairs started just round my feet among the sheep. And I could nearly hit them with a stick, but I had someone else to bother me and didn't bother my head. They knew that, and on the dread of it too, they were just...
They were gathering up too for the
just
shelter.
in a horror. Well, I come on down to the foot of the mountain at that time it was dark, and I left the sheep there. Come on home, and Paddy McKenna was now on Scaly that night, and Paddy was sad after come on, but when Paddy went out to go home at 11:30, he wouldn't leave too early. Our gate was covered up about 3.5 foot high with snow against it. I had done my best for him to come back into the house and stay for the night, that he'd get lost going home. No, he wouldn't. He was gone. So I had to get the shovel and bread the gate enough to get the gate moved round a bit to get him out on the road. And he told me the next time I met him, he says, "And you want me to stay?" He says, and I didn't stay, but he says, "Well, any time before I was home that night, I was damn sorry, man, I didn't take you home." He says, he said, "I never got tighter in my life to make home a minute."
You couldn't go through that depth of snow walking.
But it was following you too, you
yes,
choking me.
So long did it last then?
Well, that blew back and settled down. The next day there was snow everywhere. lanes, so you wouldn't know the countryside at all. And then it settled down, started to freeze. I'd done everything that way to do. I seen it freezing one day. The night before, I come in a drippy fog, and it just come down and froze. And the trees were breaking down the next day with the weight of the ice on. We tiny branches, not the thickness that's good straw. There'll be an inch thick as a popsicle with the ice around them. And they were just chipping off and breaking down and falling. And there were icicles from the roof down to the ground the whole way. Some of them maybe a foot thick. Oh, it was fierce.
Well, was there much stock lost? Was it overall? Like
there was a lot of places half the sheep were lost. Some people never gathered them up when they got covered with snow.
What about fodder for what was?
Well, there were no such thing as fothering sheep because we tried to fother the sheep, and they didn't know they hadn't enough sense to stood there and hungry, during their feet, and mostly they weren't offered for them. It was unknown at that time feeding sheep. Like nobody thought of them. When sheep's not trained, you can't let them do it. So there you were.
Well, how did people get out and into the town and that? There must have been a kind of a half famine here.
The first week we worked at least twice summers, some maybe more, and carried on a wee pack on your back just for what you couldn't do without just going.
Yeah.
And then there were Kelsey's father down there, his father had got a new Ferguson tractor at the time, and he got a wee fixture on the left at the back of it, and he could throw a couple of bags of mail on there, and people would climb up and sit on the bonnet of a Renault, and there'd be maybe 3 or 4 people would take him and go down to the town and get home a lot of mail and a lot of things like that.
Alright, they'd been going steady.
Aye.
Was that the year that Dr. Frank walked up there, this town and up till, was it?
No, that was later.
Oh, that was another year. Right.
Aye.
And then when did the thaw come?
Aye, well the snow come on the 19th of February. And that was a Friday. Well, that day week, the same thing happened all over here. People had got the roads again as red to the first week, to the end of the first week, and on the way getting out again, just when the same thing happened over again, the road was blocked up again. And that lasted for another fortnight. The 17th of March was the first day that you would notice a wee thaw. These would start to drip on the 17th of March, and that was the first time.
Some storm now.
Oh, it's some storm over it.
Well, then the tractors, when were the first tractors that come to the Sixtowns? Who would have had them?
I think Doyle had a fortune. He was the first. But I'm starting to think he had them. Doyle got the tractor at the time of the 47, so might have been after they got it. I can't mind him being out there in the 47. No, it was after they got it. And out fortune.
Right.
But I don't know what to get about around here too.
And I suppose Sinclair would have been the first man to have a...
I wanted to plough, you know.
That would have changed a whole lot then.
And what he call it was like, they got one.
Well, would they have done work on the country with them?
No, I think they're quite a lot on the country.
Well, who was it come up and ploughed the brae there for Patchy? Remember the time? Who was it come up and ploughed the brae?
That was Johnny Nilly.
Johnny.
Went out fortune at a trailer plough.
That would have been some sight.
Aye.
What was the attitude of the people to the tractor? What was the attitude of the people to the tractor when they come? Did they see the tractor as a backward step or?
They were nearly scared someone.
Someone would have thought that they were ruining the fields and so on.
Oh. We all thought, in fact, when the ploughing are too done and there's no other way in it done. You just had to shut up and put up with it.
Well, what about in those days? What sort of crack would they have there? People, even way back, maybe in the 20s and that sort of, would there be many dances, local dances and that around the place?
There was always local dances.
Where would they have been in McBride's barn? McBride's barn would have been the main place.
A few halls through the parish too.
But in the Sixtowns, like?
Oh, just McBride's hall.
And who would have played at that, or what kind of music would you have there?
Well, I first played at the band. I played at that hall myself.
Well, the way before that, what would people have done?
There was no hall gone on.
In the houses, would it be?
Just country houses.
And did you ever hear tell of any early musicians in those days?
Also,
the wee man, what did you call the wee man lived at Spires there?
Daniel McBride.
He was a fiddle player, wasn't he?
Aye, and Johnny Gillette was a fiddler too. Plenty of fiddlers.
Right. And most of what kind of dances would they have done? Highlands and
Holtgis and Highlands and Ernstad.
Then Killian would have been a great thing in those days too.
So it was.
Would have been extensive even this town now. Like, would the people, would everybody have Killian in those days nearly?
The men nearly all done it.
What about the women?
Well, no, not as frequently as the men.
They would have had quilting sessions, wouldn't they?
Oh, not as much as my day.
No.
Not for years before.
Or would have been a tradition at one time?
It was, my father's early day it was.
Right. And then there'd be a lot of poets and musicians and people in the area at that time. Who would have been the local poets that time?
Well, there weren't many poets around here. That's then.
Other than McEldowney.
Barry Muldowney, he came up from around the later years. Barry was a poet in nature. Not really only poet I knew around here.
But you've never heard of any song, any old poems from going way back, or about sieges around here way back?
Not so much, no.
Not so much. And who made the Sixtowns cow? Was that McEldowney? Was it McEldowney that composed the Sixtowns cow?
Aye.
Somebody did that. And then I suppose there would have been, you remember the odd convoy for people going away from America and that?
Aye.
Would there have been many of them in the Sixtowns?
The house would be back guarded.
I suppose there'll be times a year when they'll go to. Would they went in the summer, or I suppose it would be any time of the year maybe?
We used to go generally in the springtime.
In the springtime. So you probably got a whole lot of convoys around the same time.
I guess in 4 or 5 maybe going in the one in spring. Maybe not the one day, but around the one spring anyway.
There must have been a lot of benefits at the same time for the Sixtowns, for there were places like that where there was a lot of emigration. There would have been money sent home for things too. There would have been money sent home from America. It probably would have bought a lot of farms and houses, wouldn't it?
Well, some men would go and the price of their farm and bought a farm and they come home. And others would go over maybe to get money to pay off debts of the farm they had.
And maybe,
different place.
and I suppose as well as that money that was sent home would always have benefit to keep the people going in the place. So there probably would have been a right lot of benefits of emigration.
It kept going on money from America.
And the likes of, there were some sad stories too, like Francis Kelly going away too and not making it back.
Aye.
I suppose a lot of people had those
Oh, aye.
plans in their heads and never
That's right.
got anywhere.
You want a Yale?
Mm-hmm.